Good evening, namaskaram to everybody. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Shyam Sundar. I'm from Frost Sullivan, a growth analytics company based out of US. We have presence around the world. Today we are here to welcome our esteemed speakers for a panel discussion on the topic of emerging megatrends in the fleet transport ecosystem with India as a context. So with that, I'd like to welcome our esteemed speakers on stage. First, Mr. Siddharth Kirtane, Head of Marketing, Daimler India Commercial Vehicles. A round of applause, please. Mr. Prashant Kumar, Chief General Manager, SML Isuzu. Mr. Jasjit Sethi, Chief Strategy Officer, TCI Group. And of course, Mr. Chandrakant Shedage, Head Application Engineering, National Engineering Industries. I'm going to switch to this mic so that we can get started on the panel discussion. And all those esteemed speakers, I hope I'm audible to everybody. All good? Great. So today we are here at the cusp of the Indian commercial vehicles industry where the rebound has happened, COVID was there was a lot of regulations, and now the industry is back with a bang. We are seeing record amount of sales in the Indian commercial vehicles industry. Fleet operators are ordering trucks more and more. That's a very good sign with the India's growth momentum. So with that, I just want to start the forum with one challenge that is on the horizon, starting with Mr. Siddharth. How will the election cycle and the high interest rate impact the truck sales in the near-term future as we are seeing in the next couple of months?
Yeah, good evening to everybody. Well, all election cycles have a little bit of uncertainty. Little bit of uncertainty in terms of, the investments that need to be made. So it's usually seen that, during the election period, plus also they take a little bit of backseat. It's more about the sentiment rather than the business opportunity per se. So, we will definitely have a little bit of slowdown till the time elections happen. And then, of course, it appears to be because there is a demand in the market. So we, as an OEM, see more like a V-shaped recovery. But the first two half of this year, calendar year, seems to be a little slow, and then it'll pick up.
Let's start. So since we are talking about the megatrends, I'm going to request Mr. Jasjit to start. What are the two megatrends which you think is going to define the Indian fleet ecosystem in the coming years?
Namaskaram. So I think there's a difference between megatrends and crystal gazing. Megatrend wo hota hai, usme you have some green shoots and you where they are going. And crystal gazing is that you are thinking like a blue sky. I think there are 4 or 5 megatrends which are kind of emerging. One megatrend has started with the onset of GST, and that is with the forward charge mechanism. People are getting more into the fleet ownership in an organized way. So what impact it has is that the smaller fleet owners are becoming smaller, disappearing. Even COVID was also a catalyst towards that. So we could say that the fragmentation of the industry has reduced now. We have become more organized or consolidated. So that is one trend which is there, is going to continue. The other trend I think is around the alternate fuels. We are in a position of flux. Today, as even users, some of us may have electric vehicles. And if you look at the sector of transportation for buses, about 5% already are electric, but not so in trucks because the payload, the carrying capacity reduces. you require more distance. So what happens is that the smaller vehicles which have a local beat are going to electric, but what about larger trucks? There's a lot of talk about LNG and stuff. I personally believe that LNG is not the solution. I believe that LNG for that long haul heavy vehicles is something the railway already taken over. So it's very difficult for the road to compete with rail. So probably I don't think LNG is going to be a solution. I believe that hydrogen cell is something which is going to make the alternate fuel bigger for the long haul, and for the short haul probably electric is going to be a better answer to it. If I continue?
Sure.
Yeah. So the other mega trend is probably the ADAS in the vehicles now. Today there are about 4 vehicles below sub 10 lakhs which have capabilities of lane assist. If you let the steering wheel go, it will remain in that lane. So that's almost level 3 of autonomous driving. I believe in the next few years, in the closed circuit, be it a port or within a warehouse, you will have some autonomous driving vehicles also doing some beats. That is something which I feel is going to be a major trend.
With owning more than 15,000 fleets, I think you've given a lot of big megatrends for the Indian industry.
I can add one more.
Moving on to your, Mr. Prashant, what do you think could be the megatrends for the Indian CV industry and also the fleet operators in the next 3 to 6 years? What are the defining moments which you think is going to matter?
Yeah, so continuing with Mr. Sethi, what he is saying is fairly correct, that we have to see what are the 2 things, mega trend in terms of fuel and in terms of fleet management system. So how it is happening. So definitely electric vehicle and hydrogen is the solution for the next generation. And buses and 2-wheelers and 3-wheelers, FAME 2 and FAME 3 is about to announce. So that is a pretty big confidence that given to manufacturer. And whatever the trend that government want to set, ultimately, if it is not giving to the customer acceptance, it has got no value. So I think the government is able to establish the customer acceptance by announcing there is schemes in FAME 2. So that is one area that is setting for the mega trend, the India ready for the electrification and acceptance. What is been said correctly that buses, it is well fairly established, but truck in the case of weight to power ratio and long haul operation and different charging centers to be available, and that is one of the area, and the battery cost that is costing hugely to the product. So ultimately, what is the total cost of operation TCO? Unless until it is not going down, the trend that we want to establish, that is a point of concern. So that is one part of fuel, and another part of fleet management. So if you'll see, the fleet management is also going towards more in what you say in technology, because today, what earlier we are thinking that driver is not so technology savvy, but every driver has a smartphone, and every driver is adopted for the technology. So the tomorrow trend for the fleet, Mr. Sethi is here. So he must be managing the entire fleet with the technology. So technology is going to come, and the telematics and what is being shown in the driver safety, all these things are definitely going the future for the mega trend. And the best part, the Indian fleet and the Indian transporters and the driver, that is the acceptance is there. Initially, we had a feeling the driver is a community of the very low education system. But over the period, whatever the technology that we have introduced, either the telematics or it is the there's AdBlue, management of AdBlue, BS4, BS6, everything driver has adopted. So that the technology towards the fleet management is also going to be highly technological driven. And what is said that always the truck and bus is in your laptop and your mobile. So that is a trend that is going towards the mega trend that is going to set in the Indian road. Roads are going very good. Road safety is nowadays what were the accident happening earlier, and today what is happening. So all this is a combination that in the terms of fuel management system, vehicle availability, technology in the vehicle, vehicle is also upgrading, and in totality in the fleet management. So that is a mega trend. I see from my eyes how it is happening.
Thank you for that. I think acceptance is the key word from the drivers or the fleet operators. On that note, to Mr. Siddharth, we want to ask you what will be the impact of this AC cabin mandate from 2025? Government is saying that all cabins should have AC systems from October 2025. What could be the implication on the fleet customers who are owning less than 15 trucks, where cost is going to be an important factor for them? How will it affect the industry as a whole? On that note, there is also cowl chassis. What's going to happen to cowls? What will be the next step for the cowl? Will it get demarcated or will it continue? Certain OEMs are saying we'll supply AC kits to cowls so that cowls can continue to exist. But there are companies where cabin safety is taken as utmost importance. So we want you to touch upon some of the aspects of AC cabin and how is likely to evolve in the Indian fleet ecosystem.
First of all, I mean, as Daimler, we completely welcome this move and the mandate for AC cabins. India is a warm country, right, for the most of the time. And we have to recognize that driver productivity is extremely important. I mean, all brands are trying to come up with high-performance trucks, better specifications, superior technology, and fleet owners are investing in that technology, right? The truck prices have not gone down. They've actually gone up over past decade or so. How do you make the best utilization of that truck? And that is only possible through a superior or high-performing driver. And therefore, we have to understand that for driver, that is his workplace. So like when we have our own offices and we want them to be comfortable, that's the driver office. And from that perspective, I think, the driver productivity will significantly go up with the AC cabins coming in. Now, coming to the second part of it, I think, unfortunately, in our country, we try to do things only when we are pushed to the wall. This is something that manufacturers could have done proactively. For Bharat-Benz, for example, almost 65% of our sales are coming from AC cabins. And of course, as you know, that we don't supply cowls. The second part of the question. And why I say so, because when we are talking of driver safety, we had a great presentation today in terms of accidents, road safety, right? Sadak Suraksha, Government of India has released the formal anthem today, I understand. And so there's a great amount of focus happening on the safety on the roads, right? So when we look at active safety, which is the features in terms of, AEBS and driver state monitoring systems and all of that, we should also look at passive safety related. What if the accidents happen? Bharat-Benz has always been ahead of this curve. Our cabins are crash tested and they comply to even stringent norms compared to what has been specified by the Government of India. Similarly, just imagine we're going to talk of AEBS, emergency braking systems, right? And then you want an AEBS truck, but which goes with a cowl. So, I mean, this is completely, it's this dichotomy and it's irony that I hope that, manufacturers really take this seriously. In any case, the market of cowls over the last decade or so has come down from possibly, 60% cowls to 40% cabs, or maybe 70% cowls to 40% cab, has simply reversed. So it's like 30% cowls today and 70% cabs. And I think it's high time, that we need to move towards safety. That's how safety and comfort, that's how the transporters will be able to recover the investments on their truck. By the way, I like the picture, though it was a very dangerous picture of the truck accident that you showed, okay? Two things on that picture. One was it was a cowl truck, and second thing, it was super overloaded. If you look at the payload that was put on the truck, okay? I think we must stop that as well.
That's the OEM man talking. So moving to Mr. Chandrakant, we're talking about safety, we're talking about connected technology. There's also a trend of where customers want to know their health of the truck. There's a lot of information that is available via telematics. And there's a rise of smart components. But however, India is a price-sensitive market. So you do have smart bearings in your portfolio. We also showcased your other offerings to the market. How do you think this is going to pan out, given there's a cost angle to it, but again, technology is something which customers want at a cheaper price?
Yeah. So one thing, smart products, smartphones, smart trucks, everything is going to be a smart. That needs lots of data. And I think that data, as a component from bearing, we can give it. So we were the first one to indigenize the technology in terms of the sensorization of the bearing in India. Again, the cost was another important factor. So I think one thing what we learned is that the local ecosystem, what we have to utilize, that will help to basically try to meet the targets, cost targets. Of course, it is not going to be easy, but yes, it is not as good as, as bad as what we get it from the outside. Second thing is like, when we actually started the product lines for sensor bearings, then it was first with the modularity, like only, we will give only 2 data points. Now we are actually expanding it to have at least 3 to 4 data points in terms of temperature. We will also have the vibrations. So as whatever the health is concerned, then vibration and temperatures for the any system will give that, okay, how good and bad it is. So that way we are trying to see that how that data can be complemented with the ECU or TCUs of the systems or trucks and get the condition monitoring available. Second thing which I feel again is that load or the actual real-time utilization of the trucks. So far, we do have certain own, OEMs have their own duty cycles. They are not going to be the common duty cycles henceforth because truck speeds are increasing, the utilization and behavior, what we were talking about, that is changing. There is one case, I think, when app-based shared mobility started in Bangalore. So that particular two-wheeler, they were having lots of maintenance. And the reason for that was that, okay, this particular vehicle was not so much designed for the duty cycle. Like, everybody is coming, picking up the vehicle and then using it. And at the same time, patterns of everybody is different. Someone is harsh, someone is okay, but then that also is going to impact. So real-time utilization is going to impact the product lines, what you have. So if we talk about this, then we are also working on one thing, that load sensing, wherein we will have the real-time data from the field, and that will actually utilize to have the robust and optimized product lines in the first plates itself. So I think that is what I would like to put as a thought.
It'll be very interesting to see how customers adopt, measuring the loads, because as we saw, there's a lot of overload in the market generally. But however, you touched upon an important point of fleet utilization. With that, Mr. Jasjit, I'd like to ask you, how can fleet owners improve their fleet utilization and efficiency in the coming years, given that there's a lot of new policies in place, you also have a good road infrastructure that is coming up and it's getting paced up, and also the GST implementation which you had informed earlier. So how could that play a role where customers can actually improve their efficiency overall in their network?
So I think the short answer is that in the present environment, they can't. And they can't because it is not up to them when they are running the trucks. The time for loading, unloading, and waiting for load, that is the main killer. So in the present ecosystem, if you look at the Indian truck ecosystem, we have a full load of a Tata 407, 10 feet, to a trailer of 50 feet as well. Globally, everybody has gone to a tractor semi-trailer combination, where the trailer which is carrying the load is left aside at the place of the, either a hub of the LSP or at the place of loading, and the prime mover goes away. The truck is loaded at leisure by them, which may take 6 to 8 hours. A shunt truck takes it out and puts it into the yard. The main truck comes and takes it away. Put it simply, you would have a ratio of 60-70 prime movers to 120-150 trailers. The good news, it's already started in India. Now you can do a recession separately of the trailer and of the truck. Some companies who are in hub and spoke, they are already doing that as of today. Believe me, their trucks are doing 24,000 kilometers a month, which is a good amount. And that's only happening because the truck driver is not waiting for load. Will our customers agree to that? that today he's giving a material to a truck number. He's going to give it to a trailer number. So there were issues around insurance. There were issues around other claims. Those have also been worked out. I would request Motorindia, I think you've done a good conference, that some of these notes of this conference should be put in a kind of memo and given to the government. They want advice, they want something, maybe Sridhar, you could do that, because they really look for information and there are areas where they can be helped. So if we do that one part, the productivity goes up by leaps and bounds. That's a very simple solution, de-link the load availability with the running of the truck. And that's only by this buffer. The cost also comes down. Our prime mover costs about 30 lakhs. Our trailer will cost 10 to 12 lakh rupees. So instead of having two truck trailer of 80 lakhs, you have 1 plus 2, you're saving 1 lakh rupees anyway. Yeah.
With that, you have mentioned about high utilization of the trucks, where we also have the trend of we are moving from rigid trucks to tractor trailers in the overall market. Mr. Prashant, customers want to utilize their trucks more, they want more data, but however, it comes at a cost, because the fleet management or the telematics solutions comes at a cost for small fleet operators. They're not ready to pay. How is that problem being addressed in the industry, where customers are made to realize that this is an important factor for them to run the business smartly with the data?
Yeah. So I think it was when we have introduced a new technology, this is always a challenge for a manufacturer, that how to make the acceptance, what I am saying. So what is the cost of the technology? Everything is a cost, but only thing, what we have a given person or a fleet owners to have a understanding and the trade-off between the cost versus productivity. And what you say, fundamentally you cannot reduce your cost. You can only increase your revenue. So there is a cost implication, fine. But is that helping you to increase the revenue? Something that people are to understand. And that is what is always, as a manufacturer, we face. Whenever we add a new technology, I think Bharat Benj were the pioneers in making the AC cabin. I was working in my earlier company, Mahindra also. And when we used to AC cabin, and to your surprise, there is a general perception among the transporters that AC is reducing their mileage. But if you have a 220, 270 horsepower engine, hardly it is affecting anything to your mileage. That is something fleet owners have started realizing, and ultimately it is giving a better productivity to the people. So suppose the AC may be taken as the high cost element. Now the new thing has started implementing is the FABs. There is a fire alarm protection system. It is costing around 2 lakhs. So it is hue and cry in the market that it is applicable only school buses. Now it is interested that it is to be implemented as far as the safety norms are concerned. Now the customer is ready to pay the safety. So life has got no, like an insurance policy. Insurance policy you do and you always think that what is my cost and what is my safety. So that is a long debate. But ultimately this is to be borne not by the company, not by the person who is buying a bus. It is ultimately go to the customer. And if a customer is ready to pay for their child for even 50 rupees per head. So that what your question is very correct, that customer is not ready to pay, but ultimately how it has been given a perception in their mind that it is only the cost or it is helping them to increase the revenue. Like when telematics was even introduced, there was always a fleet owners they are sitting here. So it is a recurring cost every year. Now the company has started 3 years free. So that have a taste, and that hardly cost like a SIM card. Now people have started realizing, and I think hardly today anyone was thinking about the telematics. Everybody is demanding, especially for HCV. So that is one area where people are all now coming to the other technology, that company like AMC. AMC is also a cost. But ultimately, is it that, if I remember 10 to 15 years back, when the company used to annual maintenance scheme, then transporter used to calculate, that is my vehicle, I am operating at my workshop and what is my cost. Suppose 35 paisa cost, you are asking 60 paisa, 1 rupees. But now slowly they started realizing, I am here for the transport business, I am not here for the maintenance. Let the maintenance is to the headache of the company, let the parent companies to this kind of maintenance. And ultimately, what is the workmanship, skill, labor, and all these things. And even after introduction of BS4 and BS6, now I think transporters are here, everybody is demanding for AMC because there is a cost, but there is always a benefit in terms of revenue. So we have to trade off between cost and revenue, and in my opinion, ultimately it is a beneficial to the transporter. Only thing is a kind of realization in terms of mathematical thinking, in terms of thinking in reality, and in terms of productivity. So that is my total concept as for the acceptance on the cost and acceptance from the person in terms of revenue.
Holding on to that word of cost, Mr. Siddharth, in his opening remarks, Mr. Jasjit said that LNG may not be a solution, but however, certain customers involving in long-haul operations are thinking about, or at least considering LNG as an option instead of diesel, and they don't see any outlook for electric, at least in the heavy-duty segment. What is your opinion on how LNG or the alternate fuel ecosystem in India is going to span out in the next couple of years, and how can customers be prepared for it?
Okay, so first of all, for the foreseeable future, I mean, if we have to talk for now, next 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, I can tell you that diesel will be the leading fuel, for sure. And for heavy-duty transport, maybe for a decade, diesel will continue to be the leading fuel. The alternate fuel adoption is going to be different, no-brainer, across different segments, you know. So, for example, the city transport might have natural gas and electric as the secondary and tertiary fuels, possibly. And similarly, for example, the buses may have a very similar roadmap in terms of electric and NG. For heavy-duty trucks, definitely it could be diesel and liquefied natural gas till the time hydrogen technology, what Jasjit Saab said, kind of matures. The problem with LNG is that it is okay. It's a midway solution, right? It is like on the road to zero emissions. It is neither here nor there. Plus, also there are limitations in terms of the transportation and the cost and stuff like that. So we don't rule out LNG as one of the possible probabilities for long-haul transport, but we see the application a little bit restricted. I think still it will be diesel, and then eventually when the hydrogen, either FCEVs or hydrogen ICE, when they mature, LNG will eventually have to kind of withdraw. That's how the outlook is for us as of now.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Siddharth. Over to you. So we are talking about a lot of megatrends here, and sticking to basics, there's a lot of problem on counterfeit, that is duplicate components in the market, which is affecting both the customers and also OEMs and manufacturers, where there's a financial loss. How is the industry trying to tackle it? It's a long problem, but given the transition to new energy vehicles and also where the utilization cycles have also gone up, how is the industry tackling it? And could you also throw some light on the app tracking, which you had mentioned earlier, of finding out genuine components, and how is this going to be beneficial to customers?
Yeah. So uptime, utilization, reliability, these are the talking points which are being said. What happens? Bearing becomes so critical, or the fuse basically, when it comes to the counterfeiting or the spurious product. Moment it fails, there are other implications that there will be some other things, or the safety concerns may happen. So as long as the reliability is concerned, I think we have to see that we have to go for the genuine parts. And for that purpose, as I was showing one app, for the end users, we do have app which will have section which talks about like there is a unique code on each bearing. I think that way you can check with us that yes, this is a genuine part, where it has been produced, when it has been produced, and who was there on that production lines. So to that level of unique, identification, we can do it. So that is one thing which you can get as an assurance for the product. When we talk about second thing, that okay, how we can encourage, like yes, why I should go for the genuine part? Then I think reliability is one, but at the same time we talk about the loyalty program, wherein that way it helps to the end user that okay, whatever I'm going to get, there will be some additional benefits I'll be getting into. So that is also something. And the training part. Mechanics and the, basically the owners, end users, they have to be trained for the, I will say, wide necessity of these genuine parts. That way it helps that, okay, and we are organizing different such sessions for the end users and mechanics. Recently, I think 1 or 2 years back, I will say, that there was a campaign which happened that from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, we had a trunk campaign wherein we have made awareness about with the mechanics, that how we can actually help to be availability of the truck by having the right product and the genuine product. So I think this is something which we can also do. This GTA is another platform wherein we can give the trainings to the users that how the genuine product can be selected. Yeah, thank you.
That's very insightful, Mr. Chandrakant. Right, when we talk about new powertrains, alternate powertrains, there's also electric and hydrogen. Mr. Jasjit, I have a question where we're talking about all these new powertrains that might come. Mr. Siddharth said diesel is going to be here for a very long time. But however, we talk about reducing logistics cost in the Indian context. Are there new business models that are coming up where the acquisition cost is reduced by acquiring new powertrains through a leasing model, and then that is beneficial where your operating cost is very low for customers? How do you see those panning out, and where do you see the logistics cost going up or down for the Indian market?
So I think the logistics cost of India is probably the best in the world. And I differ with the government on this trend for about 10, 12 years. Finally, in October, there's been a study by the government itself, Ministry of Commerce, where they have come out with the figures that the cost is only 7 to 8%. Simple logic. You say we have old trucks, we overload them, we don't pay the drivers enough, then how can the cost be high? Doesn't make any sense, right? So, but the cost is high. So actually, before the budget, there's something called economic survey. It comes out every year, day before the budget. The economic survey says the transport cost is 6.8%. And then you add a warehousing cost of 1.5%, and 1% is the cost for inventory carrying cost. Those are three components of your, an admin cost of your logistics cost. The new rating, which has been given by the government itself, is between 7.8 to 8.7, and they have given from 2011 itself. Now, when people say percentage GDP, what is GDP? GDP is 55% services, 20% agriculture, 20% industry. You can't divide by services for logistics cost. In our basic maths of class 2, we know denominator has an impact on that. So how can you say part of GDP? You compare with the US. US is 80% services, which is financial services or IT services, and only 1% agriculture. Rest they import from China. How can you compare that GDP percentage? So all that denominator part is wrong. What probably we should see is the logistics competitive index, where we currently are at number 38 in the world. It's got 6 components to it. One is about infrastructure, about export and others. I think we are going up. In terms of transportation, if you look at how to reduce the cost, and I was part of Gati Shakti a few days ago in Delhi. So Gati Shakti said that we are going to invest 1 lakh crores. Lakh has got 5 zeros, crores got 7. That's 1 trillion crores, 1 trillion in infrastructure. Now in infra, when you build infra, you put toll on that. Today, the second highest cost of a transporter is toll after basic fuel. Now, if you are building roads and putting toll, so then you say I built roads, now the cost should come down, but who's paying the toll for that? In terms of GDP, again, I'll come back for a moment, 8% is automotive, which is on a 4 trillion about 400 crores. 28% is GST on the vehicles. Then we have got 30-40% fuel VAT plus other excise. So fuel, alcohol and cigarettes are 3 sin goods in the country. So today the government says, I will not put fuel under GST, I will take VAT for that, and I will make roads and I will put toll. Now you reduce the logistics cost. How? The drivers' wages will only go up. They cannot come down. Vehicles are getting better, so we will become more efficient. But the biggest cost is fuel and these things. So these things need to be addressed, and I did speak about it in that forum as well. Hey, please look at this. When do you put fuel under GST? Cost kam ho jayega.
So that is where instead of diesel, customers want to opt for electric or zero emission powertrains, right? Do you see any new leasing models that are coming up in the market where customers could lease these new powertrains instead of purchasing them, so that reduces their operating cost?
I think someone mentioned the TCO, and TCO has been the benchmark or the milestone for Daimler as well when they came in. That our trucks may be more expensive, but the TCO, total cost of ownership, is lower. So TCO in the case of electric, you see, electric is an interim solution also. We cannot recycle a plastic bag. How do you think after 8 years you will recycle a battery? So we are leaving our problem for the future. That's for hydrogen. So electric is a case where you may recycle some cells, but other part is going to go to the soil. I'm talking about lithium ion. So it's not as, you maybe have three issues of pollution: the air, water, and soil. Soil no one thinks about yet. It's going to be an issue. So today the cost of that battery and its future disposal is going to be quite high. So you're paying upfront costs. So there are companies who are doing leasing for small auto rickshaws and three-wheelers on a subscription model. They make money, but end of the time, there again is the issue of the disposal. So I don't think the TCO issue is the one which is holding back electric. Electric is held back by the power to weight ratio. That was a major reason for that. Thank you.
Mr. Prashant, your company had a turnaround in the recent quarters, and one of the reasons it could be cited is customer satisfaction. Could you throw some light on how important the relationship between a manufacturer, the fleet operator, and the dealer, and the whole ecosystem of satisfying customers, keeping them happy, at the same time doing a good business?
Yeah, this is something very tricky thing, that how to make happy to entire stakeholders. So we recently celebrated our 40 year of existence, and what we say, the 40 year of our celebration. So that is what we said. So it is a tough time for any manufacturer to keep every stakeholders happy at the same point of time, because at times it is a price that is making many times customer happy. That times a margin making the dealers are happy. And many times the vehicle, after going on the road and getting the required service up to the expectation, because what is happening today, the expectations level for all three stakeholders are going very high, because everybody is now well connected and with entire ecosystem. Earlier it was not the case. People were not aware what is happening across the country and across the globe. Now that communication and everything are very connected to all of them. So making happy to them, it is very important. Then now it's time that it is now a customer's market. It's not a buyer's market, seller's market. It's not entirely a buyer's market. So only thing that you can keep happy to the first at the last level of the consumer, that is customer, just satisfying as what is they want. Usually manufacturer, they miss out and they go their own way. That is what they want to produce as per the technology that is already there in the system, and not avoiding the investment on the technology. So what we did, the investment in the technology, and that is how we can keep the happy to the customer, which is at the bottom, that is going to utilize your product. Ultimately, he should find the value. That is what we call the value of operation, and what is the cost of ownership. So ultimately, whether he is himself realizing the total cost of ownership is low or high. Next level is come to, you said your channel partners. So how they are being happy, because again, the profit is what they are used to earn earlier. The profit margin is definitely going down, and that is what is one of the very high dissatisfaction level. So only thing the area is to increase the volume. So that is the one solution that you can have. And you have to reduce your cost of manufacturing by introducing the new technology, robotics, and many things that were not prevalent in earlier times. So that is adding to the value to the product for longevity is concerned. End customer, what he said very correctly, that how the vehicle utilization, what is your turnaround time and what is your downtime, uptime. These are very important factors nowadays. As for the manufacturer, how to keep ourselves happy, you are making others happy but it's very important. You should also be happy, and our happy is nothing but what is our profit. So how much we are making a margin of sending a product. If we are giving a margin at compromising ourselves, that is again a big task. So it is only happening as a teamwork to understand what are the technology. Every technology you cannot adopt. There are many good technologies always available in the field, but you have certain limitations for all the things to adopt. But what is the best that you can do within the system, and what is something you can have a future readiness for you to deliver to the customer, and what is your cost of adopting a technology. So again, the trade-off between your value addition, productivity, customer acceptance, and profitability to all those stakeholders. So that is very important too, and that is very difficult at a same point of time, keeping happy to all stakeholders. But in general, you can make a line of channel of level of satisfaction, and that is the parameter, that is something that any manufacturer is looking after. What is their CSI? What is the customer satisfaction index? So that is something that is very much giving an index to you to understand how far your product is accepted and satisfied in the market. So that is in totality that I can summarize.
Yeah, in continuation of the word volumes, Mr. Siddharth, there is a lot of road construction going on in our country. There's a lot of energy demand where mining is increasing day by day. The construction and mining industry, where they deploy huge amount of trucks, aside from the road logistics, what are some of the trends which you are seeing happening, and what are the disruptions that are likely to happen in the next couple of years for this particular segment, as it is closely related to the energy and the consumption markets?
Okay, so, Hyderabad used to be called as Makkah of construction. Okay, it's not now. If you see what's happened over the last decade, there has been enormous amount of infra push. The construction trucks, or the tippers as we may call it, a decade back, within the heavy duty truck industry, the contribution of construction trucks was not even 20%. So you had this rigid trucks, and then the construction trucks, and the tractor trailers. Almost for past decade or so, the contribution of construction trucks within the heavy duty industry means 19 tons and above, has been roughly stable at around 33% within that pie. And that whole pie has been, of course, going up and down, but we have been going to new peaks, right? Like the last peak was close to around 300,000 trucks in 2018. Coming to what's happening now, the biggest trend that we are seeing is that every decade, if you observe, whatever was the highest horsepower of the truck in that decade happened to be the lowest horsepower of the truck in the next decade. So a couple of decades back, the highest horsepower was 160. And then if you look at the last decade, the highest horsepower was possibly around 280. And this decade, you will start seeing already that the lowest horsepower on the truck is going to be 300 horsepower. So what Jasjit keeps on talking about, power to weight ratio, it's not just about the battery electric vehicles, but power to weight ratio is also extremely important when it comes to other category of vehicles, and particularly in construction and mining, where you are operating in a little bit of tough terrains and gradients. You definitely need to have the ability of the truck to be able to kind of, pull the loads. So one is that shift towards the higher horsepower is extremely evident and clear. Number two is focus on reliability of the trucks, right? So gone are the days where you can actually afford to have a truck which is utilized for, let us say, 5,000 hours. In this industry, people don't talk in kilometers, they talk in terms of number of hours. And just to give a idea, it's roughly around 8,400 hours, which is equivalent to 365 days and 24 hours a day. Today, on an average, the expectation of a mining contractor is he will not break even, not even break even, if the truck operates for less than 6,000 hours a year, which is virtually like operating for 20 hours a day, 300 days a month. And if you consider at least 1 month of rains, that means you are virtually operating for 11 months. That's the minimum expectation. Otherwise, they don't even break even. So, extremely high reliable trucks, on-site service. There's the second trend that people are looking at, and of course, higher horsepower. These are the three trends. And also, one of the mega trends that we didn't talk about very openly is that, how data-driven decision-making is really helping the contractors. I mean, the diesel prices have gone from whatever they were, sub 50 rupees a decade back, to almost 100 rupees now, right? And yet, I mean, nobody has died, right? Contractors are making money, transporters are making money. So we can keep on saying a lot of things, but the fact still remains how it has happened. It has happened because of a lot of improvement in technology, a lot of improvement in efficiency, and quite a lot of it has come because of data. So I think, so data, high horsepower, on-site support, and these are some of the trends that I definitely see both for construction and mining happening.
Do you see something happening in mines, like connected mines?
Okay, so I mean, technology can offer those kind of solutions. For example, it's more to do with routing now, when you get to see it in mines. So which means that you want to further extract the productivity, so you have solutions available which can guide the driver or to which place to go in the mines for the loading, right? But otherwise, mines is a closed circuit operation. So I mean, that's not a great value addition that I see, honestly speaking, over there. With what kind of value addition telematics can bring to on-road segment. Off-road segment, the value addition is a little lesser because you're operating not in a very vast vicinity. But I think the site support, providing the support at the sites for the customer, that will create significant value to the customers compared to what possibly telematics may create.
Thanks, Mr. Siddharth. So the next question is a common question to you, Mr. Chandrakant, and also Mr. Jasjit. There's a lot of new components, electronic components that are there in our trucks, and customers always say that the number of sophistication keeps increasing, so my repair costs are increasing. But there is also a trend that is happening in the other continents, like in Europe, where they say they want to repair their trucks on their own, calling us right to repair, where I want to repair my trucks, even if it's within the warranty. Normally in India, we see trucks getting repaired outside the warranty. How is that trend likely to evolve, where customers are starting to ask, I want to repair my truck, but it's more sophisticated, it has more ECUs. Would like to know from a component point of view and also a customer's point of view.
Okay. So when we talk about the repairing or the right to repair, what I feel is that the technologies are changing drastically. Today's truck, as I was mentioning, they are smarter. There are lots of integrated technologies together which are being used, and the mechanics or the people who are going to repair, I feel that the awareness and the knowledge about that particular thing is something which is a scarcity. So it may actually be the risk when we think of having that self-repair or right to repair. But for that, probably then again, we have to see how we can train the people who are going to repair. Like I was talking about the mechanics training, or like the fleet like the association like HDTA, they can actually talk about the awareness programs about the people. So that is something which is one. But at the same time, I think we have to see ECUs and all you are talking about. Most of the OEMs are having their own diagnostic systems. How much data that will be available to those people? I think that is another big question mark which we have. And how much tailored-made data we will get, and how good the decisions can be taken by the local people. I think that is another challenge in this particular case, which we have to think of. Yeah.
Mr. Jasjit, your views, please.
Yeah. So there are three parts here. I think one is the operational part. Operationally, I think all fleet owners are going towards an AMC, and they feel that we don't want to have a paraphernalia of having workshops, and a truck can get repaired anywhere. And the AMC rates have also become far more reasonable over the last few years. So we would not want to be into servicing our own trucks. That is first. Second, the regulation part is that the 6.2 of the Bharat stage emission is about RDE, which is real-time driving emissions. In that, technically, the onus of maintaining the vehicle goes to the OEM. So typically, he is the one who has to do that. Now, do these two together later on make the OEM more powerful, and he starts to squeeze the fleet owners by asking for higher rates for maintenance? That's a fear which we have. But as of now, in these 3 to 5, 7 years, while there are a lot of workshops outside who can do other repairs, and they do repairs for vehicle related towards the fabrication others, but we would want to continue with the AMC. That's as far as the trend is concerned.
Yeah. So where we talk about loads, there's also digital freight brokerage that are coming in. This is specifically towards the OEMs. There are startups which are working on where they integrate with customers, but somehow they shut down in midst and customers are left with no load, or there is no consistency of load for customers through these apps. How is this trend likely to continue? Because in one end, we want to digitize where we want all our loads to be connected, and customers can book anytime, and small fleet operators can have higher utilization through apps. But at the same time, we also see companies not able to sustain in this harsh, high interest rate environments throughout the world, and especially in India, where startups are facing a challenge. How is this trend likely to evolve in the coming years and months, Mr. Prashant and Mr. Siddharth?
This is something that is competition matters. So ultimately, these startups, they have started ultimately. We are still into the mindset of old concept where we usually go and negotiate. Somehow we believe very strongly in our own skill of negotiation, and rather than going to the apps and believing on that. But one of the examples that you can see is a classical example of hotel booking, when people are more comfortable booking in a hotel through apps. So, so it is something how long we are ready to accept the technology and how we are ready to accept the belief on the technology. So ultimately, when we feel go to the competition and how the competitive rates that is these new startups set up in technology and giving a platform where you can book your vehicle for complete load, half load, truckload, and different kind of applications of the vehicle like the parcel, courier, that is the goods, that perishable goods, and also there are different category of the goods that is being transported, full load, half load, perishable, construction good and all. So, so I think this is a very good platform, and I'm sure this is something happening in abroad because no booking agent kind of concept is there. That is, everything is going on system process and people are comfortable. So what is your question is very right, that is the transporters, most of the transporters are sitting here, are facing the problem that they have to book the load and they have to send the vehicle into the destination. And at the cycle, duty cycle, they have to maintain and they have to make the vehicle running. And at times they are not fully loaded with the truck. So definitely this is a challenge today as far as the technology acceptance is concerned. But I am sure the way that government is very confident and moving towards the technology, that is our transport minister is there so confident that India should go, and he, I think 5, 6, 7 years back, he was very clear, by 2020 we'll go to the electric vehicle, and today what he was saying that definitely we are going towards the same line. The question once, something you asked just clicked to my mind, what is going to have an election effect on the this entire economy of the transport ecosystem. So definitely uncertainty is there, and a lot of market liquidity will siphon out to some different product. It is not related to fleet owners business, because this liquidity crunch is always there during the time of election, and people don't know because the government focus on the infrastructure is the current government focus is there, which is you can see even during the COVID time when the general growth for the transport ecosystem was low, but the construction was always on the upbeat scheme. So this is one of the thought process that when you decide, and the collaboration, what you say with the government, collaborative efforts with the government, with the transporters, with the fleet owners, and with the manufacturers. If you go in the fashion that we want to implement certain system in India, definitely it is going to work. So, but the only point, what I am again repeating, that we are still a very strong believers of our own capability and own mindset of a negotiation skill. Thank you.
Any additional thoughts on that, Mr. Siddharth?
Okay, so coming to the aggregators part of it, see, I mean, there, in all business cycles, there can always be cases of success and failures, right? I think the future is for collaborative working. You know, partnership is the new leadership. So I think it's not bad. You may have some bad apples that might have failed, but I think at the end of the day, how do you improve the productivity of the truck is going to be very important. So I definitely see that, good quality aggregators, both in trucks and buses, in an organized manner, will survive and they will succeed. And I think it will be good for the industry to kind of also create that network so that their trucks can be utilized and they're not idle. Whatever it is, full load, part load, and all of that can be a matter of debate. But I think it is better to run the truck with load rather than running it unloaded. That's my view.
Yeah. With that, we are going to conclude the first panel. I'd like to thank all our esteemed speakers for their insightful discussion and everything. So a round of applause for our esteemed speakers. So with that, we'll be moving on to the next topic. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And I wish you a very, very productive years ahead in terms of your fleet operation.
I request Mr. Shyam to please felicitate all the dignitaries on stage. Yes, we can take a group photo opportunity with all the panelists. I now request Mr. Rajesh Rajgor, Associate Editor, Motorindia, to please come onto the stage to felicitate our moderator, Mr. Shyam Sundar. Yes, we can have another group photo opportunity with Mr. Rajesh here. Please, if you can.